Here's a phrase I don't get to say as often as I used to. A recent Dragon article caused me to think about something. I've briefly touched on it before in previous episodes, but I'll go ahead and address it again. The notion of playing people with physical disabilities, or mental disabilities for that matter, is fascinating and fraught with all kinds of interesting ideas. Some of which are perhaps insulting. Now, the primary place I've seen people play disabilities is in actually point-based systems. So, point-based systems usually have at their core the notion that you spend points for everything you want. And you can take disadvantages to gain more points. Okay. Some people will take advantage of that. A classic example in Champions is, to be paraplegic, or in that you're stuck in a wheelchair, but you have vast psychic power, a la Professor X from the X-Men. You could play a character that's blind and then give them a bunch of senses that effectively mean that they're not blind. So there's that. The other context I've seen disabilities portrayed in is actually in LARPs. I've played buffer LARPs, and a lot of the buffer LARPs I've played have a point-based heart to them. And you could take disadvantages, like lame, which made it so you couldn't run away if danger came at you. You had to walk at a normal pace. Which I've taken, actually, because at the time I couldn't run. I still can't. I've got bad damage to my knees, so running is really not a good plan for me. So I went ahead and took the dissat because I was going to have the problem anyway. The other thing that I've seen portrayed at LARPs is being mute. For some reason, you're not able to talk. Now, these are the two contexts I've actually seen. What I have not seen done in probably the most iconic role-playing game is people playing with disabilities. And I mean, there are a lot of reasons why the games are built around combat as its main engine of drive to it. So if you have a physical disability, that can impact that. There weren't rules really for most of D&D to do disabilities as in a rules context sense. You got no benefit from doing it. So you didn't play you didn't play it because there was no benefit. I find myself wondering if perhaps in the future I might try and play a character that has a disability that gains no benefit from it. I've done the lame thing at LARPs. I got the points for it, mainly because, like I said, I can't run. I didn't take mute because I don't think I could spend an entire weekend without talking. Yeah. That probably makes me a bad person. But, anyways, but I was thinking, in what context do you play somebody with a disability when you gain no rules benefit for it? Would you play a character that is artificially limited and you don't get any benefit other than playing with an interesting point of view that you don't experience in day-to-day life? I don't know. I'd like to think that I would be mature enough to make a character and play that, but I could see why people wouldn't. And it doesn't necessarily make them bad people, but I can but maybe they should. Maybe we should all take some point in playing a context that we don't have in day-to-day life. Some people do this by playing alternate genders or alternate orientations, but I find myself wondering about the playing it like D&D or Traveler or something like that with a disability as a main aspect of the character, because it is a main aspect. This is not to say that those challenges that the people in real life are not things that are the things that define them completely. A person who's missing a leg is more than just a person missing a leg. You know, they have all the same drives and goals of everybody else. They have a lot of the same experiences. But that difference is a defining trait if you're trying to separate them from everyone else. If you're trying to say, what makes this person different than everyone else? And we are all different in our various ways. We all have our subtle differences. But sometimes the difference is more obvious. And sometimes it generates more challenges because we're in a world that is oriented towards people with, you know, fully functional limbs and fully functional brains that don't have, you know, different ways of operating. We aren't oriented towards making those exceptions. We try and make those exceptions, try and make life a little easier for people who have them. That's why you have wheelchair ramps and things like that in the bars and the stalls of the bathrooms and things like that. But playing somebody who has those problems in a world where those problems are an exception and doing it just for the experience has a certain amount of roar to it in and of itself. And I find myself thinking, you know, how would you incorporate that into a game that isn't actually designed for it, for one thing, and how rewarding would that experience be? Anyway, that's my thought for today. I hope everyone is well. I hope you're all having a good day. You know, if you like it, subscribe, go to the Patreon. No pressure, though. You don't have to. And, you know, give it some thought. Tell me what you think. Would you play somebody who has a physical disability or a mental disability if there were no rules benefit? Would it be insulting to people who have those disabilities for you to play them? I don't know that there would be. I think trying to have that context is helpful because we don't get that context every day and we don't have to think about it. So maybe putting ourselves in a character for a few hours that has to deal with those problems is helpful to expanding our own horizons. Anyway, like I said, talk to you guys later. Have a good night and stay out of trouble.